Starlight and dewdrops are awaiting thee. Sounds of the rude world heard in the day, led by the moonlight, have all passed away. Beautiful dream, my queen of my song, list while I woo thee with soft melody. Gone are the cares of life's busy throng. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me. Beautiful dreamer, awake unto me.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Evermore Paranormal Show. My name is Jim Sorrell, and your host for the show is Suzanne Sorrell. She has her sidekick, Cat Kirkpatrick, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Good evening, sweet spirits. Welcome to the show. If you didn't watch the show last week, this is our second episode. It's a variety talk show. We're going to have musical guests on occasion. We definitely are having a musical guest on April 9th. Gina DeLuca will be here from Baltimore, so don't miss it. The focus of the show is the paranormal and specifically ghosts, though we will have shows on other topics, but rarely. So we're going to have 6 episodes, and this is our second one, as I mentioned. We planned on having 30-minute shows, but we realized last week that that's really rushing it. So our show last week went 45 minutes, and I suspect tonight that we're going to go at least 45 minutes to an hour. So if you look around, we are in an actual studio. This is Stairway East Rehearsal Studio in Manassas, Virginia. And this studio we think it's haunted. It's haunted because there have been reports by the owners that there's some paranormal activity going on. We did have a few weird breaths on the video last week, but we cannot say for sure that that was paranormal. So definitely listen, pay attention while we're doing the show. You never know. We are right down the street from the Manassas National Battlefield Park, where there were 2 major battles during the Civil War, and there were a lot of casualties. So we feel that we could easily have some kind of paranormal activity going on during the show. So keep your eyes peeled. So as I said, and as my husband said, I'm Suzanne Sorrell. I own Evermore Paranormal. I'm your host. I'm not alone. I also have my hubby that just announced us. He's also our ghost bro. He's the one, he's going to be sitting off camera with some ghost hunting equipment, and he's going to be paying attention to that, and we will touch base with him at the end of the show to see if anything happened. Also, I have my best buddy, Kat, of 13 years. We've been buddies and get in trouble a lot together, have fun. She's going to be here to keep us company, to ask questions, to make comments, that kind of thing. She's my sidekick. And my sister, so to speak. I want to shout out, I just mentioned that we are at Stairway East. This is Stairway East Studio, and they're located on Ballsford Road in Manassas, Virginia. And I want to shout out to Mike, our director, that's in one control room, Pat, our audio engineer, that's in another control room, Lucille over working lights, she's our stage manager, and Jazz, who's running all the cameras. We have 4 cameras on us right now, so that's a great job, Jazz, running all those cameras. So, tonight we have a bunch of the ladies of Evermore. There are more ladies that are here tonight, but we do have a bunch of them, including myself and Kat. So we're going to be telling our own ghost stories. So, I'm going to start with my own ghost story. I have a lot of ghost stories, but let me try to tell you the one there are two stories that happened in my life that really made me, I couldn't leave the paranormal, and this is one of them. It's not the first one, but it is the first time that I saw a ghost. So here's what happened. It was about 14 years old when I was a kid. Let's back up a bit. When I was a kid, my mom and dad divorced, about 7, 8 years old. Mom and I moved to an apartment that was a 2-bedroom apartment. Soon after, my mom had a boyfriend, and he moved in, and he lived with us for like 4 or 5 years until he passed away. The story is about him, and his name was Roy. So, but he was about, he had to get, and let me just I'm trying to remember, this is a long time ago, by the way. I was 14 when this happened. So he had to get a medical exam for his work, and when they examined him, they realized that he had cancer. He had cancer really bad. Like back then, this was in the 70s, like 79 is when he passed away. And back then, when you heard the word cancer, basically most people died when they got cancer back then, and he had it all over his body. So my mom told me on a Friday, we always went and got groceries on Friday, and she just drops a bombshell. Guess what? Roy's got cancer. She didn't say he was going to die, but, you know, kind of think that. A week later, he passes away. And basically, that story was, they were having a little card. My mom used to have her friends over, and they played cards, and they, have beers or whatever. They didn't want me around, so I went to next door and spent the night with a friend. And so before I left, I went up to Roy, and I told Roy that I loved him. He was like a father to me. My father was absent most of my life, and so I told him I loved him. He told me he loved me, and I went on my way, not knowing that would be the last time that I would ever see him alive. The next morning, I get up, wanting to come in the house. There's police everywhere. They won't let me in. I finally find him. My mom finally tells me Roy passed away. She says, Roy passed away in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and he died from cancer. And so I never questioned that for 35 years. But basically, we had a little they had the funeral. I wouldn't go in to see Roy, but I could see him from far off. I could see his head laying in the casket. That's as close as I wanted to get. So the funeral goes by. I couldn't go in and say goodbye to Roy. A few weeks later, if not a month, I really don't remember exactly. I'm laying in bed one night sleeping. This is where the ghosts come in. I wake up. It's a simple little ghost story, but it's something that lasted for 35 years of my life. Because I wake up and I see a head, a face of Roy in the upper right-hand corner of my room. It was a ghost head with a clear as day face of Roy, and it moved slowly across the room to the other corner. I laid there, I couldn't move. I couldn't say anything, I couldn't scream. When I finally was able to move, I ran out of that damn room. We're allowed to cuss on here, right? I ran out of that damn room to my mom's room next door, and I never slept in that room again. 4 years we lived there. I did not sleep in that room again. I went, and it was either sleep on the couch or sleep with Mom. So here I am in high school, sharing a bed with my mom, okay? And we lived there 4 years, and periodically during those 4 years and for 35 years on, I would wake up in the middle of the night and see Roy laying on his side facing me with a look of, I still don't know what it is, but to me it looks like he wants help. He's like, this kind of look. I still don't know, but I get the same look. He's laying on the side, like I'm on my side, he's facing me. This went on for 35 years. Jump forward. And when we moved from the apartment, the next apartment that we lived at, I didn't have any episodes that I remember. But after that, I did. So let me jump forward to 2012. My mom is sick now. My mom needs to confess some things to me. This was very hard. My mom kept a secret. she's gone now, and the thing is, my mom kept a secret for 35 years, and on her almost, she didn't know that she was gonna die, but I think she felt like she was getting close. So she finally confessed to me that one, Roy died in the apartment bed. Roy died in the apartment, in the bed that I slept in for 4 years, okay? No wonder I was seeing him for 35 years. Secondly, not only did he, he died there in the bed that I slept in to get away from the ghost from the other room, haha. Also, she tells me she thinks he committed suicide. So, therefore, I'm like, Mom, Mom, you've kept this from me all these years. Do you know that I've been haunted by this? He visits me in the bed periodically. When I lived in the apartment, I would wake up, he'd be laying there, even though it was my mom. Even after I got married, for years I would wake up and Jim would be next to me, but it wasn't Jim, it would be Roy again. So to jump even forward, my mom passed away almost 3 years ago. So she got that off her chest. And now I'm writing this book, and I'm writing these stories down, and I finally linked the pieces together. My mom, when she died, she left me her house and everything, and including the bedroom set that I'm speaking of to this day. It's in my mom's master bedroom. And since my mom passed away, I'm feeling a male presence up there. So I'm thinking that Roy may still be attached to that bedroom set. And so I don't know if they showed the pictures, but like you can't really see it in the sliding, but anyway. I had a picture of the bedroom set, and basically these things kept going on. That is the bedroom set. Now, so finally, I obviously have this haunted bedroom set now, and not only that, I think the mirror to the bedroom set, the mirror dresser, I think there's a portal to the other side, and I think he comes and goes through that. Now, this all kind of finally, I'm going to tell you this, my end of the story is, in 2011, my dad died. And I didn't know where Roy was buried until I went to bury my dad and found out, well, this is kind of like, back then you bought 8, 10 plots. Well, Roy's right near my dad, about 3 graves away. I went to Roy, and I think we have a picture of his grave. I finally went to Roy after all these years, and I cleaned the grave. I didn't know where he was. I cleaned the grave. I talked to him. I had to talk to him. And we fixed the vase that was stuck for all those years. Jim fixed the vase. And I'll tell you, after doing that, I haven't had those visitations from Roy anymore. But there is something in my mom's house upstairs, and I'm not sure if it's, I know, I've been told it's not him, but I kind of feel like maybe he is attached to that bedroom set. So, with that said, that's the end of my story. I'm going to shoot over to my guests that are here, Mary and Kat. That's Kat. Kat's my sidekick. And this is Mary. Mary's here tonight to tell a story as well. But so, what do you have any like comments from my story? How do you feel about this?
I do. What kind of cancer did Roy have?
Oh my God, they couldn't pinpoint. Back then it's like, it was all over his body. Brain, lungs, just every organ. So I would say it was probably lung, most likely, because for months before, he was filling up a cup of phlegm every night. He could, yeah. So that's how they said that's how he died, was that he choked on his own, phlegm and died that way. And do you have a story? Do you have a question? Any questions about?
So your mom told you that he may have committed suicide.
Yeah.
Did she tell you how?
Yeah, I forgot to say that. And really, she just wanted to get it off her chest. But I said, Mom, how? Well, because this is all shock to me. And she says, well, his medicine was missing. She thinks that he wanted to speed it up. The medicine back then, I remember her saying it was like $200 a week. My mom only made $25 a week. Back then, $25 a week. They couldn't afford the medicine. I think he didn't want to put us through it. So she thinks that he just took all of his medicine, like a cocktail, and because they never could find his medicine. Unless somebody stole it during the investigation, you know. But so she feels, and my mom, I think, was a little psychic. I know I really do. She knew stuff that I didn't tell her. I kind of think, but she kept this secret all those years. It had to be hard on her. Because I really probably, let me ask you, would you sleep in a bed that you knew somebody committed suicide in, knowingly?
No.
way.
And see, this all makes sense now to me, seeing him all those years. And it just made sense in the last few weeks because I started to write it down. So I recommend people, if they have issues, just sit down and just write it out. Sometimes seeing it on paper makes a whole bunch of sense. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to Mary and your story tonight. Thank you for coming, Mary Moore.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so I have 3 short stories. The first one is when I was about 2 years old in a crib, and I remember waking up to feeling something pushing on the bottom of the crib. And I cried and cried and cried. Finally, my brother comes in. The door was shut, and on my way out, he picked me up and carried me out. But on my way out, I looked to see what was there because I figured it was my other brother trying to trick me. And I didn't see anything, so I was kind of weirded out about that because it didn't happen again. And being 2, I really do remember it. It happened.
Did you, I guess we'll ask you, is that the end of that story?
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess I'm curious, did you have a dog? Did you have any kind of pets that could have been under your crib?
There was nobody in the room, just me.
Did you tell anybody? Well, you're 2.
Yeah,
so you really
I don't
couldn't. But as
remember.
you've gotten older, have you told your mom? And she says, well, it could have been grandma. It could have been. Did you ever tell anybody about
she's not real
that?
big into talking,
No.
things like that.
So has Kat? Did you have a question about the story or a comment?
Did you ever ask your parents that the house they lived in was haunted?
No, they actually built the house in 1956 from nothing, and nobody else lived in it. So it was just us. And I had thought that over the years, maybe something happened, but it could be the grounds.
Yeah, it could be the grounds. It could be somebody you brought something in the house,
Yeah.
came with you, relatives that have passed away. Because I live in my house was brand new too. And as you'll see from the video in a little while, it's haunted. Well, you know, both of you were in the video. But my house is haunted now, but there's so many variables. So it doesn't matter whether it's a brand new house. Anything can just activate it. You bring it in. There's so many things. So yeah. So what was your next story?
I have always been a really deep sleeper, and there was one time when my son was about 2. We were living at my mom's house still. Well, not still. We moved back. We had the upstairs, and it's a Manassas Park house. It's 2 rooms on one side, one on each side. And he slept in the one room, and I slept in the other room. And I remember in a deep sleep, and I heard him crying, but it was kind of like I really didn't want to get up, but I don't think I was that aware of it. And then a few minutes later, he's still crying, and I feel like somebody's poking at me.
Is this the
physically.
same house, right?
Yes, same house.
Same house. How old were you at this point?
I was probably 20, 21, 22.
Okay.
So I felt something poking at me. And I turned around in frustration because I wanted to sleep. And in the doorway was something floating. It looked like Casper, had little, the bottom of it. And there was no face. But I almost felt like it was telling me I needed to get up and go get him for some reason. So I got up and I went and got him.
Got your brother?
My son,
Your son, okay.
out of the crib. He was in a crib in the other room.
Oh, a crib story again.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. Isn't
I
that weird?
know. Okay. So is there more to that?
No.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
So sorry, I wasn't going to interrupt you,
okay.
but I was like, to follow the story, I needed to ask, something.
Yeah.
So again, same house, you're feeling poking, and then you go and get your child out of the crib. Probably saving him from something, Did anything happen after that could have been his life was in danger?
No.
Is it the same crib, by the way?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm just,
No.
you know, I know they're to have the old ones from
Yeah.
back then and now. You could never be able to use those.
Yeah.
I had a question of, did you have any relatives that passed away recently?
My father passed away when I was 18. So
Okay.
I think maybe it was that, because
Yeah.
it didn't seem scary or anything like that. It was just, I could hear somebody go, you need to get up.
So your father, father passed away when you were 18, and this was a few years later. And have you had this kind of thing happen again, or just that one time?
No, just that one time.
And it looked like a Casper, just like a ghostly.
Yeah, you could see through
See
it.
through it, foggy, kind
Yeah.
of white or black, because sometimes that makes
it
a
was
difference.
more white, but it was see-through.
See through and no face.
no
You couldn't
face.
tell. So,
Yeah.
so that's it on that. Nothing else has happened since
Nothing
that
else
you
has
can
happened.
tie with that. Now that you've told the story and you've been thinking about it, I bet you'll come up with some more details of it, because that's what happens. You start thinking about it more, and then you're more aware of, well, you know what, that happened. Maybe that's related, because I'm seeing a tie with the bed.
Yeah,
So maybe it's not, even though it's not the same bed.
right.
So, did you have any more questions about that story, Kat?
No, that was it.
And you have one more story, right?
Yes, just a really short story. My company we rent a building in the middle of Costello Park, which is the Stone House. And like a year after we moved in, I walked up the ramp, put the key in to the door, and all of a sudden I heard kids giggling and running across the floor inside. And I stood there for a second. I'm like, should I go in? Maybe some kids are in here. I'm not sure. So I went in. There was nobody. And I'm gonna guess that the house was built around 1956, the same time when my mom and dad's was built, because it was a new neighborhood. But it's out in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of baseball fields. It's a ranch-style house, so I'm thinking maybe somebody lived there before it belonged to the park.
So, is that all the story of that one? I
Yeah,
don't want to interrupt
sorry.
you. We, as you know, we do investigations there at the park, at the community center. And you're saying you heard kids when no kids are around.
Yes.
Did you say that, have you ever heard, are they playing with the doors too? Are they moving anything, or just hearing the kids playing when no kids are around?
Yeah, just hearing them.
Okay, well, we have that phenomena up at the community center. They called us in because when they get ready to lock up at night, they hear kids running, and nobody's there, just people up front. They hear kids running up and down the halls, but they slam the doors, so they may start slamming the doors for you.
That hasn't happened yet, but
I mean, you're in a big, huge place, and you
Yeah.
just went down and locked all the doors, and then the workers are going, kids are running around. It may be some kids seriously, it's all the same property.
Right.
It may be some kids from the community center. We're still trying to figure that out, why, the kids are running around. But it would spook you when you're there by yourself.
yes.
Oh, and the director that passed away last year,
Catherine.
yeah, she called me in originally to check the place out, and the first thing she told me was there are little kids that play in the bathroom. She had a private bathroom that was just for her back in the, the administrative section, and she'd be there by herself, and she'd hear kids playing in the bathroom,
Wow.
in her bathroom, and nobody goes in it but her. So I mean, it's pretty common on the property that you're at, and I'd say just be careful because it might not be kids. We all think, because we've had some experiences at the community center. So even though you think that they're kids playing, they're just laughing, it might be the other stuff that we've seen at the community center where they turn into
It's
some
very
evil
creepy,
things.
especially the basement.
So just be on guard.
Yeah,
Be on
definitely.
guard when you're there. Well, thank you so much for telling us your
Thank you.
story.
thank
Now
you,
we're gonna. Or did you have a question about that story at all too? Kat's been up to the community center. We are going to go investigate the stone house because Mary's boss said we could come in. So we're going to go in and with Mary and just the core team and just investigate.
I don't know if you said about what year the building was built.
Well, my mom and dad's house was built in 1956, and it was a new neighborhood. At the time, there were, they had Old Town Manassas, which was all of Manassas. There was nothing else around it, just farms.
Farms, yeah, that's what I heard.
And the tree that fell down at the community center, it almost feels like there's a connection to those two.
There is a connection between what, the stone house and the
Yeah.
tree. Yeah, the lady that was on here last week, Lucille, and who is also behind the scenes today, the stage manager. She said that you did tell me, you were the one that told me, right, about the 7 caskets, the 7 children. Yes, that was Lucille. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I wasn't misquoting you. That there are 7 children. Right? Children or family and children buried there. This is Lucille, by the way.
Come on up, Lucille.
Are you coming up, Lucille? Oh, here's a chair.
Come on
You want to come up? You're not Mike, but okay.
I'm not. The house was built in 1938, owned by the Wetzel family. The tree is the Naylor family,
Oh, the Nailers, okay.
and it's 7 children and 4 adults.
Wow, all around that tree that just
Yeah.
fell. Okay.
And they've taken the fence away, so the kids are just running over.
Oh,
the fence.
man. And that's right near the cemetery that's an actual cemetery.
No.
They
They only moved the headstones.
yeah.
They never moved the house.
So the headstones at the cemetery are just sitting there. The bodies are around the tree. We got to go over there. I tell you, when we had Paramiricon, everybody, and the people that came, all the paracelebs, and you were there for that too, and everybody wanted to go out to the tree. They didn't want to investigate in. They're all drawn to the tree. And now we know why. And I have many stories about the stuff at the community center, but they are definitely connected because there was a bunch of kids and adults. So
I grew up in Manassas Park, and I went to the elementary school that was right, down the few feet away. And I've never even heard of the tree.
yeah. Well, I don't remember how I was drawn to that tree. I can't remember if they told me. Oh yeah, the story about the tree is that somebody was hung at the tree. So that was where it started. And then that branch, they found the noose on a limb that was grown. It was grown over. So that was the initial story. And then all these other stories have grown from that and more research and stuff. So we'll definitely talk about that another time when we talk about the community center and all the stuff that's going on. But we're going to shoot on over. Thank you for telling me your stories.
Thanks for
and
listening.
hanging out with us. She's going to, at break, she's going to go over and hang out in the Ghost Bro bistro over there with Jim. So now, Kat, we're going to swing over to Kat. She's got a quick story for us.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody knows, but I work at the Iron Horse Antiques. There has been paranormal ghosts there. This was years ago. I was working late one night, and I was working by myself, and I was closing up shop, and I was putting papers away, putting the money. I was just happened to glance over to the right of me, and I saw this kind of mist going past the front desk, and I had chills going down my spine, like, okay, because the door was locked. So I go, okay, I'm going to go out there and say, we're closed. Nobody here? So I look around. Nobody was there. I said, all right, I'm going to get this stuff together. I'm going home. And that was it. I haven't seen anything since.
Okay. So that's what I was, thank you, Kat. Yeah, I knew the story, and first of all, I got to say, I've had to drag Kat into the paranormal. She literally, we've been best friends, like I said, for 13 years, and she'll tell you another story down the road because she was attacked by a spirit, choked and so on. But she did not want to be in the paranormal at all. But because she's my friend, I dragged her to each of the events. And so when she sees something like at the antique mall, now you got to remember, the antique mall, Iron Horse Antiques, is on, where's it at?
It's off of Prescott, 9200 Prescott.
Yeah, it's been voted year after year,
Yeah,
like top.
it's #1 antique shop.
Yeah, so you should come. And it's a 2-store. I actually worked there for a short time, and I'm a dealer there for just as long. But Kat, the Iron Horse Antiques is 2 stories.
Correct.
And she, on certain days, sometimes, I'm not going to say when, but she's there by herself sometimes, and she's got a.
Thursdays.
No, I'm not saying what days.
Okay.
No, but she is there sometimes when she doesn't have any help, and you go around and make sure everybody's gone. It's kind of spooky in there anyway. There are some stories of some spirits there, upstairs mostly and on the stairs, but nothing. Well, yeah, and there's a lady that hangs out around the corner.
Yeah, I was told by a phone call from a woman. She said her friend stopped in the store, and she had this feeling, so she went upstairs and in one of the booths, she said it was an older gentleman that was up there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so that you only saw that thing one time, right?
Only one time.
So, and you're glad, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, and you never know, like I said, with all
But
those
it wa- it
antiques
was-
there, it could have been something
wasn't
somebody brought in the
harmful.
store,
Yeah,
and
I
it
was-
sold, and it went along with the
Right.
item. So,
Yeah, but I didn't feel anything bad happen to me. It was.
well, that's
I was
good,
like,
because
yeah.
after the story you told me, in Missouri, was it?
Yes.
I wouldn't want anything too
Freeport.
bad to happen to you like that. And we'll tell you that story on another show. But we've gone about a half hour, and we're getting ready to switch out to part 2 of the show, and we're going to be bringing on. We're going to show you a video first, and while the video's running, we are switching out the guests. So Mary is going to actually thank you, Mary, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Really enjoyed your company and your stories. She's going to go hang out, like I said, with Jim. And we'll get back to Jim later. Kat's going to stay with me. So we're going to show this video, and while the video is running, when we come back, we're going to have 2 more guests and 2 more stories. So this video is called Got Company. We shot it right here. Mike had to overcome a lot of issues with it because basically we had green screen and all these things that were going on with the filming of it, but it ended up turning out really good. Got Company, I wrote the song. It's about living in a haunted house. A lot of it is about what I've experienced at my house, but I kind of just took the common things that you see in stories and kind of put it together. And basically everybody you see tonight, well, not Robin and Tabby that are coming up, but almost everybody here they're in the video. Mary's a ghost in there. You'll see Kat. But anyway, we're going to run that now, and when we come back, like I said, you're going to see 2 new guests up here and 2 more stories. So with that, roll 'em, Mike. Late at night, when I try to sleep, I hear creeping at my feet. I hear knocking on the bathroom wall. I hear whispers in my ear all night long. During the day, when I'm at home, I have a sense that I'm not alone. I see shadows in my periphery, and they flicker lights just to taunt me. I got company, didn't answer the door. I got company, they didn't call before. I got company, and they won't leave. I got company, can you help me please? At first, I tried to deny that my house may be occupied by something that I couldn't see. But no, that's watching me. I tried to pray, use sage and salt, also holy water, holding my cross. Finally, I just had to shout, demanding they get their beep, beep, beep asses out. I got company, didn't answer the door. I got company, they didn't call before. I got company, and they won't leave. I got company, can you help me please?
For a moment, there was peace. Thought the activity had finally ceased. But the next night, there was even more. So I decided I needed your help for sure. I assure you that I'm not insane. I tell you my stories, I have nothing to gain. I just hope to get rid of my unwanted guests so I can get some much needed rest. I got company, didn't answer the door. I got company, they didn't call before. I got company, and they won't leave. I got company, can you help me please? It's rolling the credits right now. Okay, hi. So I hope you guys liked that video. We had fun shooting it. Basically, the song was I'm singing, it's a haunted house, and I go to my best friend, Kat, to her help. What does she do? She's not even listening. Then I went to my hubby, who was the priest. He's just like, what? And then I went to Sylvia, who was the ghost hunter. And as you know, she was actually playing a famous ghost hunter. I'm not going to say a ghost. Yeah, I'm not going to say what show. But she, but she was actually playing a ghost hunter that didn't give a crap what I was talking about, was there just to look good and not really help me. So as you may have noticed, we got two more beautiful women up here that joined Kat and I. And this is Tabby Corbin, and this is Robin Honecker. Is that how you say it? I wasn't sure how to pronounce it right. So we're going to start with Tabby. And tell us your story, Tabby, your ghost story.
Well, when I was in high school, I had a very close friend who passed away tragically in a house fire. And it was very sudden, it was very sad. And, years later, he in high school, he kind of always looked after me. I was picked on a lot, and, he kind of took me under his wing, always made sure I was, taken care of. And years later, I went, joined the Army, got out of the Army, and decided to go visit one of my friends in Philly. So I had a hotel room, and of course we had been taking tons of pictures, and he thought it was funny to come over one day, and it was early in the morning, and he had opened up the blinds, and the sun came through, and I kind of went like that in the picture, and he snapped it, barely out of bed. And he just thought it was like, a ha-ha kind of thing. I didn't think anything of it till later on I went home and I had the film developed. And I'm standing in line and I'm looking through the photos, and, my heart just dropped when it got to that photo, because literally right above me, like looking down on me, was his face.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought, this is crazy. And I was like, well, maybe I just want to see him so bad that I'm putting it there. So I was like, I'm going to go home. I'm just going to leave it on the table and see what Mom says.
Mm-hmm. Not tell her.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got home and I set the pictures down. I was like, well, these are, the pictures from Philadelphia. And she goes and she picks it up, and the first thing she said was, oh my God, it's Tim. And I mean, it was so plain as day. And then she was like, well, the film couldn't have been old or warped because it was a new camera, disposable. And I was like, no, and we had no explanations for it. And, I spoke with his parents, and his parents, they've had a lot of occurrences too that let them know that he's around. Mm-hmm. And I showed them the picture, and, his father was so moved. And, that they had really wanted the photo. So, out of respect for his parents, I allowed them to have that. Mm-hmm. It was like one last picture of their son.
No, that was nice of you.
But, he was an only child, and it had destroyed their family. The dad kind of mourned himself into illness afterwards. So he was in really bad shape. And I was like, if this is what they want, this is an amazing gift.
Definitely.
I was
would
like,
love that.
I was like, let him have the last picture.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. I'm getting chills right now, you guys. I mean, I'm just
He
goosebumps
he
and
does.
everything.
I really feel that like he's around me all the time. There have been other times where
I'm totally cold right now. We getting any activity? I forgot to say we have K2s and stuff going on, but I'm really feeling like, truthfully, like you might even be here right now. Is what I'm feeling.
There might be. I mean, I remember one time I was driving and I was on a back road that I really wasn't used to, and I was coming up over a hill and I was driving a little fast. Just a little bit, Mom.
Uh-oh. Tell your mom right there where she's sitting right there.
So I was coming to the top, and it looked like for just a split second, it looked like he was standing there in the road. And so I slammed on the brakes, and as I got on the top of the hill, a dump truck was pulling out that I hadn't seen. So if I hadn't braked when I did, I actually would have hit him.
Yeah, so he's
So he was
watching
there-
over you.
Yeah, to thank you.
That's a beautiful story. I mean, literally, like I said, I'm getting goosebumps. I don't always get goosebumps with stories, but that is just so nice.
Yeah,
that-
I really do. He's like my guardian angel now.
The first thing I said when I heard about the story, I said, "Do you have the picture?" And I'm like, "Damn," because I want to see it. But that was such a beautiful gift to give it to his parents,
Yeah.
and probably gave them a lot of closure and healing.
Do you still have the negative?
I haven't really looked for the negatives, but I mean, it's possible that I might have it in, a box somewhere.
You should look for it, and
get a
we
big
can.
one.
It would probably go viral if you, come back and show us the story. I mean, show us the picture, and we'll continue on with the story. But thank you for telling us that story, and now I guess we will. Is that the end of the story then?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off. So now we're going to go. Robin. Robin is. Can you see the resemblance, you guys? Mother, daughter. And so I've known Robin for a few years. We actually went to PI school together. That's where we met, in PI school. And so are you doing the Snoop Sisters?
Yep.
So shout out to Snoop Sisters.
Yep.
Sisters.
You got? You want to say what that
Snoop
is?
Sisters Investigations.
Okay. So if you and you're down in like anywhere in Virginia, pretty much. That you
Northern
went?
Virginia.
Northern Virginia. So we met in a PI class, and that's how we remained friends. And she also went with us. We did an event, an overnight sleepover at Farnsworth. And we'll probably have a show where we're going to bring everybody on, and including your friend and the other people, and talk about what happened that night. And maybe, I'm still looking at the video. There's some problems with the video, so the sound didn't work that night. So all I got is hours and hours of just pictures and fuzzy and all that. But yeah, she went to Farnsworth with us also, and I know you want to go back with us when we go. So, Robin, you at Farnsworth, I think you mentioned when we had a little pre-interview, you said you lived in a haunted house.
Yeah.
I mean, did you grow up in a haunted
No.
house, or you lived in a haunted? So tell us all about that.
No, it was after I had my kids. I moved into a house in Woodbridge, and there was a lot of activity in there. But probably one of the funniest things was when my mom came over, and it seemed like whoever was in the house, if they knew you were afraid of ghosts, it would act up. And my mom came over, and this is pre-computers. She wanted me to type some papers for her, so I had my electric typewriter out. And we're sitting in the dining room, which I can look into the living room, and the TV was on. And we're sitting there talking, and I'm typing away, and I happen to look over, and I see the TV start to change channels. And I thought, here we go. So I'm like trying to distract my mom so she doesn't see what's going on in the living room. So then the volume starts to go up, and the channel changes, and it finally gets her attention, and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, the TV's acting up, and I'm just typing away, and I'm trying to get louder and get over the TV, and it would get louder than me, and we're back and forth. And she's fine. That's the ghost, isn't it? That's the ghost. I said, Mom, it's okay, it's okay. She's like, no, 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 no. And she grabbed her paper, she ran out my front door. She would not come back in. And I'm like, Mom, it's okay. She's like, ah, no, 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 no. When you're done with the papers, you just bring them to me. I'm not coming back in that house. And she would not come back in there. And it was the funniest thing, but it's like there's just so much that this spirit or whatever it was, it would do. But if you weren't afraid of it, you'd never know it was there. But if it knew somebody was afraid, it would just act up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did your mom ever come back in the house?
No.
Ever?
No.
And how
No.
long did you live there?
Oh, gosh. We lived there probably 11, 12 years.
And she wouldn't come in?
No.
Just because of the TV going in? Now, the channels were changing?
Well, she had heard the other stories.
But and you're going to tell us some of those, I hope?
When she actually experienced it, that was it.
Well, yeah. How would you act, Kat? Like, if the channels were changing and the volume was it going up and down or just getting louder and louder?
Yeah, it would go up and down, and until it got her attention.
And you're just sitting there, like, laughing
I'm
under your
like
breath.
laughing, I'm
But
like,
you didn't want her to leave, so you were hoping to just distract her, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking,
Yeah, I might be the one going out the door.
You'd be running out the door, too? I'd probably be going, I don't know. You never know until it happens to you, what you do.
or something.
I'd be over there. I think I'd go over there and just, like, talk to it myself. But 10 years ago or 20 years ago when I wasn't really seeking this out, I probably would have run out the door. If you're not into it.
Well, at first it scares you, and then when you realize it's not going to do you any harm, then you just kind of deal with it, And I think the first time that I knew something was wrong, and she was about 2, I think, and my other sister was at my house, and she couldn't actually verbalize things anymore, and she was in her bedroom playing, and we were in the living room, and her bedroom door just slammed shut, and I hear her screaming, and I mean, she is screaming. So we jump up and we run back the hallway, and my sister tries to open the door, and she said, Tabby has the door locked. And I said, there's no lock on her door. And we're turning and we're pushing and she's screaming. And so my sister said, get a screwdriver, get a screwdriver. She's just going to take the doorknob off. So I run to get a screwdriver. When we get back, as soon as she starts to unscrew the screws, the door pops open.
What's happened to me? I know.
She would not sleep in that room for the longest time.
The same house?
Yeah, same house. We had to literally take the bedroom door off to get her to even go in the room. And she would not sleep with a door on her bedroom until she was a teenager, and we moved out to Warrenton.
I can totally relate.
I was 13 when I had a door.
What I didn't tell you, and I don't want to waste your time because I know you got some more stories, but what I didn't tell you is after I saw the ghost, poltergeist activity started after that in that room. The one that I wouldn't go back in and wouldn't sleep in. I go in there and play my music, play the dolls, whatever. But during the day, and then I wouldn't sleep in there at night. Well, started throwing stuff around in my room. I'd come home and my room would be totally messed up and ransacked. I put it back together. I call Mom freaking out because she'd always be at work. Mom, somebody, at first I thought, somebody broke in. But then, like, I'm coming home and this stuff kept happening. This was right after the ghost incident. So it was, I don't know. I'm still kind of digesting that even to this day now that the revelations about, Roy dying and committing suicide and that kind of thing. So did you ever have anything like that, any poltergeist stuff? Or what's your other stories? I know you got some other stuff to tell us about this
Well, when
house.
they were younger, they would play downstairs in the family room. And on Fridays, their dad would come and pick them up for the weekend. So I'd always tell the oldest daughter, when you come up, turn all the lights out downstairs. So, of course, it's daytime when their dad picks them up. So as it gets to be night, I see the lights on downstairs. And I say, they didn't turn the lights off. So I go downstairs, turn all the lights off. And this went on about 3 weekends in a row. And I said, look, I told you to turn all the lights off. I did. No, you didn't. So I went downstairs and I sent them upstairs. I turned all the lights off. They went out the door, and I'm sitting there watching TV, and as it gets dark, then I start seeing the lights coming on one by one. And I could see, down the stairway that lights are coming on. And I was like, and at first I thought somebody broke in, and my sister lived up the street. I said, I think somebody's in the basement. The lights are on. And of course she's like, well, if they're breaking in, they're not turning on any lights. And I'm like, well, somebody's down there. So she came running over. We went downstairs. Nothing was out of place, but the lights were coming on. So,
Yeah, and this is still the same house?
Yeah, still the same
So
house.
for 11 years you said you lived there. How long did you live there before you started noticing things going on?
I think I noticed it shortly after we moved in with her when she was younger.
And it continued?
Yeah.
Until you left?
Yep.
But when you moved to Warrenton, Winchester
Yeah.
area? Was it
Warrenton.
Warrenton area? You haven't experienced anything?
Oh, at that house, yeah, I did.
At the house you're at now
Yeah.
as well? Do you think
I don't know
it
if
followed you?
I don't know. But it's funny.
No?
I
I
started.
think she attracts it.
You think so? Do you think it could be, you think it's a family member? You think it's a loved one? Or do you think it's, what do you think it is?
When she was little, she told me that it was a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so you feel it's a woman? And she said, yeah. And for some reason, she started telling me her name was Flossie. So we just started calling her Flossie. But she would listen to us. And so I started watching shows about ghosts, and because I didn't know anything. And it was funny, they would say, you know, if you talk to them, they can hear you, they'll listen to you. And it used to scare my dog. And my dog would just bark and bark, and I'd say, knock it off, you're scaring my dog. And all of a sudden it would stop.
Wow.
And the incident with her bedroom, I said, look, I don't know if that was you or not, but don't you ever scare her like that again. And it never happened again. So then they were saying if, like a toilet, it's impossible for a toilet to completely flush itself. Well, our toilet would flush itself every night. So when I heard that, I thought, really? Well, my toilet does that. So I
Wow.
told my husband, of course, total skeptic.
Yeah. I
And
know
he
what
said,
you
no,
mean.
no, no, no. He said, you know, the bladder's bad or something. I'll have to go change it out. So he goes to Home Depot, gets the parts for the middle of the tank or whatever, and that night it flushes itself. And I said, okay, now what? And he said, oh, I got bad parts. I got to take them back. So he takes them back, gets new parts, put those in, and the toilet flushes that night. I said, okay, what do we need to change now? And he was like, I'll take care of it this weekend. So this weekend, he rips the whole toilet out, everything out of the bathroom, buys a brand new toilet, puts everything in, and the toilet flushes. And I said, okay, Einstein, now what? And he said, let it flush.
Great story. Great story. Looks like we're getting close to the end, and that was so funny because I hear my husband over there laughing, so I know he can relate to a story like that. That is so funny. We'll have to have you come back and tell some more stories. This is great. Kat, we have real quick. Do you have a question or anything?
Is there any history on the house you live in?
I don't know. I never looked it up. I don't
Now,
know.
the house that she moved out to Warrenton to, that first house that she lived in, there was history, and it was very strange because of the stuff that we were seeing. When I became a teenager, I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So I went down to the courthouse, and I just wanted to see what the land records were. And it showed where the house had been built, and it was sold from the builder to a person. But just 1 year after that, somehow it had ended up back at the builder, because the builder, a year after that, sold it again to somebody else.
Oh, so they couldn't keep
So
people
I'm
there.
thinking, like, either maybe somebody passed away in the house, and they had no one to give it to, and it went back to the builder.
Well, you'll have to come back. The two of you come back and tell all stories of the second house now, because we'll bring you back. It sounds like we're going to have another season. We were talking about that earlier. So, thank you all for coming. We're going to jump over to the Ghost Bro over there. Thank you all. Seriously, it was very entertaining.
Thank you.
So, now I'm going to shoot over here to Jim. And basically, Jim, I had my K2 running. I didn't have any. Kat, did you? Anything?
No.
So we're going to shoot over here and see if you had. And Mary, hi, you hanging out with Jim?
Yes.
I heard you laughing about the toilet story.
Yeah, I could relate.
Okay, I bet. Yeah, man, I know. Good. So what's going on over there?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, my K2 as well, nothing. Millimeter, temperature's been very steady. No action on that either. So it's been quiet. Mary didn't even bring over any ghosts with
You
her.
didn't bring any ghosts over with you? I'm getting a little let down. We're going to have to do something next show to maybe somehow initiate, because, I mean, we are so close to the battlefield. There's no reason why, and maybe they're just shy. We're just going to have to do something to get them to come out and make an appearance or something.
Yep.
So thank you for coming as well, and Mary. And now I'm going to go through some announcements real quick. We are just a few minutes, and we are going to have been running almost an hour. So here we go. For tonight, just make a couple announcements real quick, and the show will be over soon. We are going to be at Gettysburg Paracon on April 14th through the 16th. I hear that there are still tickets and vendor tables available, and we'll be there. So if you want to come and meet us or buy any of the stuff we have out, or just come and enjoy the show. Also, we're going to be at Pennhurst Paracon 2 on June 4th and 5th. That show is sold out. You can't get tickets. You can't become a vendor or anything. But I'm just telling people that may be watching that are going to be there that we're going to be there. The cute video that you saw at halftime, that's called Got Company. The video is not out yet, but the song is available. If you go, you can digitally download it worldwide. I recommend you go to cdbaby.com, and if you want to buy that digital download. Next week's guest, we have Real Life Paranormal Group, and I hope they're watching. Hi, you guys. I know you have to be watching. That's Brian, Donna, they're a couple, and Gail. Gail is, I think, Brian's sister. So they're coming all the way from West Virginia. Now, West Virginia, they're, I think, just about an hour from us because, you can go 8 hours and be in West Virginia. So they're going to come to the studio next week. And with that said, I want to thank everybody that came tonight. It was really entertaining. And with that said, this has been the Evermore Paranormal Show. Peace out.